Hello, welcome back to the Full Stack Journey. I'm Tapas. So far, in all the episodes, we have learned about React basics. We have learned about components, JSX, states, effects, etc. Today, we are going to do vibe coding. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how AI generates code. You must be already aware of that particular phase, but most importantly, we are going to look into what AI generates and then try to figure out where and all the improvements are needed. As an architect, as a co-founder of a company, I really encourage usage of AI for developers. I want developers to start creating UI using AI, at least the first draft. Why to write all those tailwind classes by yourself? Why to write the basic logic by yourself? Let's generate everything by AI. But what you should not do is taking that first draft and considering it for the production. I have seen juniors doing it. They take the first draft from AI and then they create the PR straight away. And once I look into the PR, it feels so awkward that the comments that I think of giving are so trivial. Now today, our starting point would be generate an application using vibe coding and then start looking into what kind of pain points or the technical depths we can figure out from the AI generated code and then plan for it, like what kind of fixes that we will be providing for each of the tech devs. In today's episode, our focus is about finding the tech devs. In the next couple of episodes, we are going to fix them up. First, let's build it using AI. Well, I'm not biased with any of this tool, be it ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, but I think I use ChatGPT a lot for creating textual content, and Gemini is more about the research item. Okay, let's use ChatGPT itself as it is open and create an application. Today, we are going to prompt ChatGPT to build a complex creator analytics dashboard. And we are going to audit the generated code line by line. We will identify the tech depths and maybe some of the hidden costs and the bugs if possible. Okay, so first the prompting. Let's start the prompt. To start with, act as an expert React developer. I need a complex creator analytics dashboard for a video platform, and it should include, let's say, a header with a user profile, and then 3 summarized cards showing total number of views, subscribers, and the revenue. I also wanted to create a data table showing recent videos with their individual stats. Then I'll ask it to create a sidebar with recent comments on the video. And let me also give some additional instructions like use Tailwind CSS for styling, fetch fake data for the dashboard with a 1 second timeout to simulate network requests. I think that much should be enough, right? Now let's hit the button for it to generate. All right, so it started generating the things, the dashboard. I'm seeing this code is kind of coming up. Okay, all these things are coming up, and it's also given some kind of note for me. Okay, all good. So I have the code basically, which I can directly copy from here and then paste it to my code base and start working on it. Let's do that. I hope you remember this UI. Yeah, this is the same thing that we're continuing from the previous episodes, and we're building things incrementally. We have created an infrastructure already using TanStack router and created multiple routes. One of the route is the index route, the home route. Now what we're going to do, that analytics dashboard, whatever ChatGPT has created for us, we're going to take the entire code and going to dump here on the index route. Let's do that. So I'm inside now 06 vibe coded UI. That's the one. Inside that same project, prod ready front end, I'll expand SRC. Inside that I have routes. And here I have this root.tsx stuff where I have this index one, the home one, and I have this index.tsx, right? So let's start modifying this one to get this analytics dashboard code. First of all, instead of calling it as a route component, as it will be a creator dashboard, let's call it as creator dashboard. And inside this, I'm going to delete everything that is there right now because I'm going to dump things to it. And let me copy paste. All right, I have this big code that I got from ChatGPT. Yeah, I'm keep scrolling and scrolling up. All right, now let me go and check on the UI because nothing else I have changed, right? Whatever my home route, the component it was displaying, instead of that, it's supposed to display now this creator dashboard. Let's see how it looks like. Refresh. Oh, it says use state is not defined. Okay, excellent. Because I have copied just the code, but there are other accessories like use state, use effect. Those import also we need to now manually add it over here. So let's do use state, comma, use effect from React. All right. Now let's go. Yeah, I see something. Amazing. But what happened that I cannot read some of these things because it's probably not matching the kind of color theme that we are using, right? It's pretty light. So let's change that. Okay, if I come to his JSX, the wrapper div doesn't have any text color. So let's add a dark text color, text gray 900, save it, and let's go ahead and see the UI. Yeah, now I can see things quite well. So this creator analytics having a sidebar which has dashboard and analytics. This analytics option is not clickable because we have not asked specifically for the functionality for this. It has this total views card, it has recent videos, okay, and it has recent comments, and we have like, the user's avatar placeholder and the user's name. So it's created a decent dashboard UI structure for me. Good job, AI. Now, if I get this as a UI developer, what's the next thing that I'm going to do? Of course, I cannot really use these data because these are like cooked data given by AI and LLM. I will try to use my own data. So I would know how to connect to my data store and get the data. That's one thing. Second thing, I need to think through what is this code actually doing? Not like just by seeing it, but by reading it. I need to identify if the code base is large enough or smaller and modular enough for me to use. If it is large enough, next thing I need to think through is how can I make it modular. If it is modular enough, that's fantastic. By the way, one term that I used called tech debt, right? I have not clarified what is that term. In case you don't know, the full form of tech debt is technical debt. Debt means you have taken something from someone, borrowed it, but you have not kind of returned it back, right? That's your debt. When we build software, we write code. In today's world, what we do, we borrow code from AI. We build using that code our application. But if we are not taking care of certain things, standard, hygiene, etc., what it creates some kind of hidden bugs, anti-patterns, and that is going to create a lot of maintainability issues in the future. Those are the things that what we call as tech debt or the bugs. So let us now see in this code what kind of such issues we can find out. Did you notice the JSX it created? Look at this. So there is a div, there is a sidebar navigation. I'm just going to close this one by one. Then there is a header. Okay, we saw that header. Then there is the statistic cards. There is the data table. Whatever the things that we have asked it to create. There is a data table which shows the recent videos. This is the recent videos. And there is something called recent comments. You see this? These are the parts that we asked it to create. And it has created it beautifully. But the problem is the JSX. The JSX made this component as a GOT component. Okay, so this is a term if you are new to it. No worries really. But remember this. This is called a GOT component. What is a GOT component? In software engineering, we have something called SRP, Single Responsibility Principle. It means a function or component should do exactly one thing. Our create dashboard, this particular component is acting as a GOT component. It means that it does everything. GOT can do anything and everything, right? That's what we mean by calling this component as a GOT component. The created dashboard component, man, what it does, it manages state. Yeah, this many states. It manages effects. We have useEffect. It fetches data, right, from the network. It renders a sidebar. It renders a header, it renders a card, it renders a table, it does everything. If the marketing team tomorrow wants to reuse the stats card on their public homepage, they cannot do it. It's logged inside this gigantic file. That's why we call it as GOT component. Okay, so the first problem that we identify that we have created a GOT component and we have violated something called SRP or single responsibility principle. Now, what is the next thing? Next problem that I find. Next problem that I find is about states. Again, I'm not getting into what states are. We had a separate episode about it. I am sure that you guys have mastered it. Now the next term that comes is called state soup. In the era of AI, when you look into design principles, patterns, anti-patterns, you will learn some of these terms, okay? So state soup, what does it mean? Look at the top of the component. 5 different use state. One for stats, one for videos, one for comments, one for is loading, one for error. What's the problem? When a component re-renders, which piece of state triggered this re-render, it becomes a nightmare when you have too many states to manage in the component. This should either be grouped or better won't exist inside your component. Can we do things like that? That we will be writing this component where we don't have the states itself, or we manage least number of state? Yes, in the next episode when we refactor these things, we will take care of those. But right now, the problem is about the state soup. So many states to manage. Difficult to track which state made the re-rendering and everything. Okay, so this is the second problem. The third problem is the use effect fetching trap. We spoke about it briefly in the side effect session, right? If you tell AI to generate a React component which fetches data, AI loves the use effect for data fetching. It loves. And why it shouldn't? Because AI rely on the public data, public code base. You think about it, since probably years, last many years, we have been using use effect for data fetching, isn't it? It is very recently we started realizing that use effect is not a great tool for data fetching. It's a great synchronization tool, but it's not a good tool for data fetching. There are other ways you should be fetching data. We'll be talking about it in the upcoming episodes. But AI, which relies on the public information, public data, public code bases, it sees use effect is the one that is used mainly for data fetching. And that's why it loves use effect for data fetching. It is one of the biggest anti-pattern in the modern React because it doesn't handle caching. It doesn't handle retries if the network drops. And if the user navigates away and comes back, it forces a hard reload of the data every single time. In the phase 2 of the series, we will rip it out and we'll replace it with the dance stack query. We'll see the kind of improvement that we are talking about. But this is something a clear no when we are talking about use effect and the fetch data part. So that's my number 3 problem that I identified over here. What is the fourth problem that I can identify? Okay, so the fourth problem is about types. Do you see anything about TypeScript here? It's actually missing types. We have set up a TypeScript project, but the AI gives us a JavaScript in a .tsx environment, right? Of course, we have not strictly told AI to create a TypeScript code, but as we are bothered about the type safety and everything, because we're bothered about the production ready code, it kind of lacked that sense by default that it has to create thing which is type safe. What does the videos array contains over here? Can anybody tell? Without a type declaration, nobody can guarantee that what this array is going to contain. What does a video object might look like? What's the shape of it? We don't know. And our editor can't help us because editor doesn't have any sense of the data type for any of these things that we have declared over here. These are the tech debts or these are the kind of problems that we have identified. But if we start looking into this code more deeper, we might figure out a few more things as well. Again, I want to ensure that you guys understand I am not against AI. I probably use AI more than anybody else are doing in today's world because like all of you, I also have 24 hours, but I want to make 30 hours in 24 hours or maybe 48 hours in 24 hours because I have to do a lot of things. I have to manage a company, manage the family, do YouTube stuff. And there are many other things like writing articles, writing a book right now. So there are plenty of things that I have to do. If I don't use AI in my advantage to accelerate my work, I will be a stupid guy, right? And I don't want to be one. So that's the reason I want to call out that I am not against AI. Only problem that I have, and I have been seeing this with folks that I'm interacting with day in, day out, that their trust on AI is quite blind. My point is exactly there. Don't trust it blindly. Use it like any other tool. What it generates, you should have the capability to look into it and you should be confident enough to say that, hey, this is something that has to be changed because if I push this one to production, this is going to be nightmare. That's the whole idea behind bringing this particular playlist. So this will be the reality of AI code. It looks like very finished product on the surface, but underneath it is a fragile house. If we try to scale this, if we want to add authentication to this dashboard or sorting the tables, right, or filtering the tables or real-time command updates, that kind of feature, this particular file is going to grow into 1,000 lines and become unmaintainable. So you need to know how to refactor for good. Our job is definitely not to reject AI's help. It is to learn how to refactor AI's output. I hope this start was helpful to you. If so, let me know, post a comment, like this video and share this video. I have provided the task again in the same fashion inside the task.md file. Please go ahead and take a look. Talking about next episode, in the next episode, we are going to take this got component and are going to start refactoring it. We are going to start putting things in the right perspective in terms of the folder structure that we have spoken initially in the previous episodes. We'll be putting the components into appropriate folder. We are going to stitch them together to make this got component a real usable component. We are also going to fix a few things from the TypeScript perspective, and that's how we'll be making this particular vibe coded application to production ready. Stay with me. See you in the next episode. Thank you.